Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of my show. This is your host, Munama, and today I had called the distinguished Toastmaster, DTM Abdul Nabil Wardi. Because if you remember him, last time he was a guest in my podcast and we share the awareness of Toastmaster. Today, we would like to know the story of Abdul Nabi Al Wardi. Our guest today, he have been working for several industries and he has been also an entrepreneur himself and opened a business. But we would like to know really who is really Abdul Nabi Al Wardi. And
Thanks very much, Muhammad Na'ma, for such wonderful introduction. And of course, as you know, this life is a journey. And this life is one of the best and greatest theater for every one of us to play his role. And we are all actor and actress playing our real life stories. You might not be aware of it, but if you capture that and you display it in front of you, you will see that you have acted a full movie in your life. In your life, as a journey, you will face always ups and downs. You will face obstacles in your life. And the successful one, the one who can overtake these obstacles and overcome these obstacles by facing these terrains and mountains and overcoming it. My story also is like your stories and other stories, the audience who are watching at the present. There is no different, except the different is they have their own obstacles in their life,
right,
and I have gone through a different one. And I have gone through 3 crises, 3 chaos in my life. That, of course, if the time will allow, I can share some of my experience.
That's very well. Thank you very much for saying such a really wisdom words and an inspiration about how you sum up your whole life in a very few sentences. You really inspire me. By the way, you say just like you squeeze everything in. But let's start a little bit. Let us, for the benefit of the audience, they were asking me because obviously the first episode. Or the second and third episode, we just talked about the awareness of Toastmaster, of the awareness of public speaking. Let's the audience now, some of them, they are questioning why we had not go to personal question to you. And that's, I'm giving now the answer to them. Is basically, I want to you to tell them your basic or personal story. So if we go back, where did you study? What was your qualification? What did you do in your journey? How did you start your career? Where did you start?
I was graduated in 1978 from the high school scientific section.
Okay.
And thereafter I joined the Civil Aviation Department. And after finishing my study, I was certified as air traffic controller.
So after you graduated, you got from that school, that's your first job?
Yes, of course, not from the school, but I graduated from the high school.
Okay.
In the scientific section, and then I joined the Civil Aviation Department, Bahrain, and studied for another a few years to become an air traffic controller.
Wow. And how difficult was when you study the aviation?
You have to go through a lot of process. Physically, you will be tested because there is a special test for your eyes that you have to see. It has to be 6 by 6, and then not only that, but different type of testing for the sights. You have to see and on the with your eyes up to a certain angle from both sides, and then also for the ears as well. There will be some special test which they will be carrying it with a very soft note and high note to measure the how the strength of your hearing, because that is very important. As an air traffic controller, you will be keeping the headset on your
Most of the time.
most of the time, and you'll be talking in direct with the pilot, and not only one pilot. It will be more than one, maybe 10, 15. It depends on the traffic
At a time.
at the time.
But before we jump to you in your career, let's talk about how long did you go for that study? Like, in order to be qualified for back then, you said 1978.
Yeah,
So you graduated from the high school.
that's
So
right.
you moved to the college.
Sure.
And which college was that, first of all?
Civil Aviation College.
Okay, so it was specified
Yes,
for
a Canadian
school.
college. Yes,
university.
Yeah, university.
And how long is that course in order? Is it like when you finish 2 years course and you pass all the tests, you get this job, or it's not? It's you have to do some tests and then they have to choose later on. Is that
There are more than 25 subjects that you have to go through,
right?
and those all the subjects about the the aviations, about the aircrafts, the size of the aircraft, design of the aircrafts, and then once you'll become specialized in the second year as air traffic controllers, and then you will go into a deeper side of it, and you have to learn a certain type of language that is used by the air traffic controller and the pilot himself.
Right.
That is a very fast, precise language that communicated in between you and the pilot. And this, your language or your communication will be recorded in the black box. In case of any incident of accident, the investigators, they will remove those black box and they will investigate to find out who is the fault and what's happened, and then they can, of course, punish the guilty one in that case.
But how long? If I would repeat that question again, I didn't really understand. How long was the process for the study, and is it that once you finish, you will be hired, or it's not? It depends on your average. It depends on what was the obstacles in order to overcome in order to get this job, or it's basically once you pass the modules, let's say you start for 3 years, and once you finish these 3 years, then you can be hired immediately. What was the
grade that
drill?
the grade that you have to get to become an air traffic controller should be 85 and above.
Right, so the minimum, you mean to say.
Yes.
Right.
If it is less, you are failed and you will not be able to pass the other.
You will not progress, basically.
Of course.
Right.
That is the basic.
Right.
Yeah.
And how long was that?
Almost 4 years.
4 years. So
Yeah.
it's something like a bachelor degree, something like that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And what was the most difficult thing back then when you were studying? What was the most difficult element that you faced and you overcome it somehow?
The most elements, because you will be working under intensify pressure and very intense pressure, and you have to take an action, and you have to be very clear and obvious and in your communications,
Right.
because you will be passing codes and numbers. In case of any mistakes in any of these, you will be in big trouble. So you have to be very cautious. You have to understand, and you take the right decision at the right time.
Right.
Yeah, otherwise you will
And that
be
was
at
on.
risk.
It was like an on-job training.
Yes, on job.
When you are studying, you're also going to the airport and like a training.
Of course, that is later on, but while you are in the training at the college, you will be practicing in,
Like
with something called simulator.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what actually I was willing to ask you. So they built a simulation for you,
That's right.
and in order for you to become an air traffic controller, you have to pass by 85% and above. If you get below that number, you're not able to get it. Is that
Sure.
what
Sure.
you are
That's
saying?
why you have to be highly skilled,
Right.
to think, analyze, and predict and take action. The most important thing is taking action, but the action should be precise, because the pilot will depends on you and on your how you will guide and direct him.
Right.
And most of the people, they cannot distinguish between the air traffic controller and the pilot. They think the pilot, he is the one who is flying the plane, and he is the one who is in command all the way down. But unfortunately not. The air traffic controller, he is the one who is guiding, directing, and communicating with the pilot from even the point of starting, pushback, taxiing, take off. He cannot make any one of this unless otherwise the air traffic controller will give him the permission to do so.
Very well said. And you say this because this is the out of what you feel when you are outside the job, when you are outside those walls of the airport. Once you meet these people, that you think that the community does not distinguish between these two.
Yes, absolutely
It's
right.
lack of awareness, maybe.
Yes, most of the people are not aware that the air traffic controller exactly working like the police traffic man. Let me compare as comparison, so it will be easy for the audience
Right.
to know and learn.
Yes.
The air traffic controller working exactly like the traffic policeman, except the traffic policeman standing in the middle, and he's using a way for the communication with the cars, okay, by using the special signs and hand movement gestures to direct them to the north, south, east, and west.
Right.
Okay, then how do you think the air traffic controller will communicate with the pilots? He communicate using a special frequency called ultra high frequency. It's very short wave type of frequencies, and using a language called aviation language,
Right.
to guide the traffic landing and taking off within the vicinity of the airport. And of course, there are more than one air traffic controller. Once the aerodrome and approach controller, he will take the flights out of his responsibilities, his zone, then he will hand it to the next one, which is called the radar control. Then the radar control will hand it to the third one, which is called area control, up until he will land to the other country, which is his destination, will be handed to the next, again, area control, approach control, and then aerodrome control. Then he will announce his landing.
So basically what you just said right now, if I can sum it up, is basically it's a process of modulation people And as far it goes from your responsibility, it goes to another person responsibility, and then it goes to another person responsibility until it's become the country responsibility, and then the another country, which is on the other side, the one which the destination of the flight will go, he will take it over, and then until it will reach to the final destination of the air traffic controller.
Absolutely, you were right. So what I wanted to say, that the air traffic controller, he is the one who is responsible for the guidance. Imagine a flight in the sky with the speed of 500 nautical miles, facing another aircraft from the other side 500 nautical miles or 400. So there is no time for him to take an action. In the ground, the police traffic, if the driver made a mistake, he will tell him stop. He will stop. But in the air, how can you tell the flight to stop?
Maybe you have to turn around to reduce your speed and come back again. That's what I know
in
from
the
movies,
air,
of course.
we have there are routes and directions.
Right.
The flights which is going towards the east trend, we assign them an odd numbers.
Okay.
For example, 33,000. Once you have. I'm certain that while you were in the cabin crew, they will announce we'll be flying at a level of 33,000.
Right.
Okay. Another, if you are going to the west, we will be assigning them an even numbers, which is 34,000, 36,000, and 40,000, etc. Okay. So the odd number will be assigned to the right, to the east for the east, and the even number will be assigned. So there will be a vertical separation.
Right.
But imagine if you are talking to, because you will be talking to more than one flight at the same time. So you have to be very accurate, precise, and fast. And that's why the aviation language, is used in that. And if I talk it, you might not understand.
Also, it is really deep.
Yes,
I can't.
Of course.
How difficult it was, Abdel Nabi? How difficult it was in order to pass these things? What you were doing back then, before you got the real job, how difficult it was? The study itself.
You are working only for 6 hours, and then 2 days and 2 days you will take off the duty, and you are under stress, under pressure all the time. Why? Because once you come on a duty, even though you have around 3 to 6 people under you, once you start communicating with the pilots, your eyes will go blind because you don't see them, because you are focusing with your eyes and brains with the pilots rather than looking after these people. These people, they know what they have been doing. They are filling strips, they are following instruction, and they are listening to you also, because they are assisting you as an air traffic controller to fulfill your duty. But most of the time I don't see them, and up until I'm a little bit free, then I take a cup of coffee or a tea. But most of the time you feel that you are under pressure and under stress.
And that was during the stimulation.
Yes. When there's heavy traffic.
How about when you were studying? If I had to ask you this again, when you were doing this 4 years course, sorry, how difficult it was? What was the subject that was really difficult to you to digest? And back then, I mean, right now, the people nowadays, they got the internet to get resources. They got YouTube, one of the biggest video, and you can just type in anything in YouTube and you will find the answer for it. So there is an ease to get an access of the information. But if I'm going back and relate this thing, it is like 1982 or 1980 back then. How difficult it was in order to cope with whatever it was. Is it that difficult? And what did you do in order to get these resources?
When you join in the aviations, they want somebody with a vast imaginations. For example, I give you example. And then there are professors who are training you, and those, they wanted to see how far you can see and how creative you are. And that creativity, once you finish your high school or even university, which I doubt we are studying it over here, expansion of your imagination. For example, one day I thought it was a picnic,
What do you mean by picnic?
a journey.
Okay.
The professor took us to one of the islands with boats, and he told us that you have 3 days. You have to give me, after the 3 days, your reports about what is your location and reference to the world.
Holy shit.
Yes.
And you don't have any clue where he'd
No
take
clue,
you?
nothing. You have to find yourself and make all your research. They will not give you any tools, anything.
But how?
That is why they put you in to see what action you will take to find out the solution. Another day, another reports. We went to one of the hotel, and he asked us to give us the weight of the hotel. The weight of hotel. And even that hotel, they brought the security, because most of us, some people, they use their own way by measuring, using their feet. Some other, they using the measurement, the foresight of the hotel, either by feet or by cars or by different means, and to find out the height of it. Not only in order to get the weight of this. Another.
So it's basically they calculate this based on calculation of assuming or perception of, for example, the floor would weight, for example, let's say 100 kg, and so we have 12 floor, so basically multiply by 12, and then you somehow
have to find out. That is actually an exam.
So you mean to say that those kind of assessment or exams that to measure your critical thinking and measuring your problem solving skills and how you can come up with a solution with really limited resources.
Another one, measuring the sun rays, how long it will take to reach the surface of the earth, from the sun up to the surface of the earth. Another one, it was measuring the amount of the water in the sea.
How could you do that?
Yes, there are. That's why
how could you...
we went out of mind. We were actually confused, and nobody is giving us any clue on how we can, obtain all these and find out the right equations. So that's why he wants us to open our mind. And this has never been given us in the high schools. So once you come out of the high schools, you will not know. There's something new to us. Graduating from high school to...
And you directly went into the college, so you have
Of course.
But what was your rationale? If it's a later question, actually, but do you feel back then when you finish your high school that you want to do that, or it's that the opportunity opened to your door and say, like, you know what, let me just take it? No. Or it's something that you were passionate about to get?
No, I accept any challenges in my life. I consider it a challenge. And I pursue the difficult challenges in my life in order to prove to myself that I'm capable of doing it and achieving it. Why? Because once that become your goal in life, it is a door of opportunity knocked your door.
True.
And this opportunity will not come to everyone.
True. Very true.
So once that windows of opportunity came to me, I have to grab it. I have to chase it. I have to be passionate about it. And that's what's happened to me. And I loved the aviation because it is you will become addicted to it once you try it. Even those people who are in the skydiving, I have, one of our friend, Tim Abdul Amir.
Sure.
He is very passionate, even though at this age, which is above 65, and he's until now practicing it.
True. Very true. Very true. He might be our next guest, by
Yes,
the way, but
yes.
I have not.
So what I wanted to say, that aviation is, to be frank with, is addiction. Yeah, once and it is something, a subject that you will love it once you know about it. And I loved it very much. That's why I was passionate, and it became my destination. I love it very much.
Okay, okay. And what happened next when in these 4 years you've been stripped out into different types of exams?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And every time you go into exam, all of them, or most of them, let me just rephrase that you have no clue about. So all of these things, they will give you no direction, and then they would see you if you were passed or no. And do you get a chance to retake the exam? If you, for example, let's say they took you to that island which you have no clue about, and you were able to figure it out. What if I messed up and I couldn't figure it out? So I'll be failed. So will they take me to another island, or they will give me another chance? Or they will say like, that's it, you had failed and you can't
If
progress.
you fail,
In those kind of
yes, if those are the topic which has been given us. The objective of those topics is to expand your knowledge and expand your imaginations, and to perceive what things that is beyond comparison, things that's far away from you. So that perceptions is not easy, and that's why they wanted to find out whether you are capable of finding the solutions, or those are maybe the most difficult things that has happened, as you requested and you questioned me in my life.
Right.
At the beginning when I joined the aviation. But I accepted the challenge, and I was able to overcome all those, and passed the things that has been given to us.
Right. And if I will ask you about how different it was, is it that different types of learning or development, or training, is it different than somewhere else? Like, for example, now air traffic control in Bahrain, is it that different, or it's the same drill but in different way? Internationally, I mean to say.
That is been actually the university or the college. It was run by an ICAO,
Canadian.
International Civil Aviation Organization. It's
Okay.
an international organization, and those are the people who trained us, and they certify us. And then once you are certified, you will come and be trained practically. And once you're trained up to a certain level, up to certain times, then you will be licensed officially by a company called IAL, and that's a British company. And then once you have been certified, then you can be an approved air traffic controller.
Very well said.
Yeah.
And that was when you finish everything, and those tests combine of writing test and simulator whatsoever, and also some kind of test that in the calculating some height or weight and all those things that one way or another that has got a correlation with airplane and how to reduce it. If this is what I'm thinking, I'm processing that it is that way. Is that true?
Of course, you have to pass a lot of exams, a lot of tests, and this test not only by written or by reading, even by practice, as well as physical test. You will go into it on and on, and once you are fit, then you will be passed and approved as air traffic controller.
And how does it feel really when you graduated as an official air traffic controller?
Yes, it is very exciting job because you are the king of the airport, and all the airlines they would like to welcome you and entertain you. Why? Because you are the one who is able to give them facilities, and they will give you free tickets, free packages. Yes. Why? Because you are the one who is distributing the base. You are the one who is switching on all the lights of the airport. All the switches it's under your control, and you have a direct access button, called red button, with the highest security authority in the area in case of any incident, hijack, emergency. Even the hospitals, they are under your service. Within a few seconds, the fire people, in case of the fire, in case of tire blast, in case of any incident, they will take an actions, and you are the king of the airport, to be frank with you. And you are the one who's running the whole operation in the airport and in the flight.
In the air.
In the air.
Okay, and once you graduated, that was in 1982, I think, isn't it? 1982. And after that, is it that whole the people who graduated or they passed the exams and they officially become air traffic controller, all of them got hired?
No, not actually.
And also,
out of 500 people, they applied. They took only 15 people, and out of 15 people, only 5 people they became our air traffic controller.
Wait, so from 500, and slowly until it's become 15.
Yeah, those
5.
they give exam. And out of those,
you mean your batch?
Yes, because this is actually when backed up by the Gulf state for the first time. They want to have their own air traffic controllers, and they want to have also the electronic people. So out of those, they elected only 5 for each section.
Oh my God! Let me just ask you a question. What would be a life of someone who spent 4 years after after school? Let me rephrase that. After school, he would spend 4 years. And imagine that he failed or did not nominate. He reached very
those are
close
before.
to the. Imagine what would he feel after spending all that time and efforts, and after that his dreams splash, and he have to start anything from scratch.
Those are before. It's like you are applying for a job. And for that job, for example, let's say senior position, and maybe for that job, worldwide, 1,000 applying. Out of 1,000, they want one person. They make an interview for those qualified, and they select out of, for example, the 500 which applied, they select 100, and then they after the physical examination. Has been reduced, for example, to 50 people. Then they made further tests, for the eyes and ears, etc. And for that college, they needed only 15 from each country, which was Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, and UAE, Emirate. So 15 from each, not for the air traffic controller, but 5 for air traffic controller, 5 for the navigations, and 5 for the electronics, radar, and the other things.
The first stages we were educated.
Forecasting, the weather forecaster, 5, and for the navigation and radar, 5 people. So total 15 people.
Very, very well. Now let's jump again to where you already become an official air traffic controller. And you was mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, you said that you were working for 2 days and then you get 2 days off. I assume that they keep this because they want to capitalize the energy within you. They want you to become full energy. There were some rules, for example, restricting you from what was the drill really? And how does it feel when you're working? Because if I was thinking 6 hours is really not that long, but I can tell that it's really under pressure, for sure, you would be stressed, you would be focused and determined. How does it really feel when you at the job, really? When, for of course, for the benefit of the guest, I would like to draw how it was in. If I can draw it in the mind of myself and the audience as well, how difficult it was, and what was the restrictions before the duty or after the duty? Do you have what kind of restrictions or?
Of course, once you come on a duty, there is another one which is already there, and there is a book. Once you sign that book, so we have a procedure before signing the book and after signing the book. Before signing the book, anything will happen will be the person before you responsible. After signing that book, it is your responsibility. So you have to make sure before signing there is something called inspection.
Okay.
We go and inspect the runway.
So you go to the runway?
Yes.
Yourself, like walking in the runway directly?
With the driver.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to walk, basically, with the car.
With driver.
Okay.
And why we go for inspecting the runway? We go for inspecting the runway to make sure, after the airplane takes off, sometimes one of the tire blasted. So pieces of tire will be there. Right. Or pieces of steel will be there. Or something fallen from an aircraft. So we'll take that piece to the technical side to investigate it belongs to which aircraft, to inform the destination that this flight departed at this so on time. Please inspect before landing the tires and check, because the pilot will not come to know whether the tires been blasted or not after takeoff because of the high pressure before the takeoff on the tires. So this is one reason. The second reason why we inspect, we have birds coming from Siberia every year around the airport. These birds are very dangerous for the aircraft.
Yes.
Why? Because once the airplane is taking off or landing, if these flock of birds will approach or will come towards the engine, will break all the blades of the engine, and there will be a fire, and the aircraft or the airplane will fall down. So this is another reason. Okay. So what we do, we have a special type of flaring and sounding type of shooting gun. Okay, that we will take during the inspection, and if we see those birds around the airport, we will shoot, focus or target them and try to flee them away from the airport. Okay. That is what we do.
Okay, and after you once you start your shift.
Yes, and then I will come and sign
that everything is
inspection, done. Yes, and if there is anything, he will make a handover. A handover, he will tell you this aircraft is there, that is there, that is there. This will take off at this time, because we have something called flight plan. A flight plan is the plan which has been planned by the pilot before, and it is coming on the form of strips. These strips displayed in front of us of all the planes and all the aircraft which is taking off and landing. So we will put them in sequence in front of us, and very small strip, showing estimate time of departure, estimate time of arrival, flight number, and the date, the time, etc., the type of the aircraft. So we will know how many aircrafts they are parking right now, how many aircrafts ready for takeoff, how many aircrafts ready for starting, landing. How many aircrafts now already standing by at the threshold of the runway, how many aircrafts will be landing. So all those, you are the one who is organizing and separating them, because none of them will see each other's, and you are the one who is seeing, who is organizing, and who is giving the instruction to separate them.
Very well. Yeah. And I can't tell how, when you describe this to me in these specific details, I can tell how requires really to be in your focus 100%, and you have to have the courage to take decisions. What if you made a wrong decision?
In
What
ca-
is the consequence?
of course, the consequences will be very high. Why? Because your job will be in risk, and if immediately they will remove the black box, and that is which is in the aircraft and in the with us as well, and the investigators will go through all the communication which has happened between you and the pilot, or between you and the one which is on the ground, to find out whose fault is it.
Okay.
So the punishment will be severe, and it will cost your job. Or if it is minor, you will get a warning, and one warning, second warning. If it is minor, third warning, you will be dismissed, and you will be out of no more approved air traffic controller.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it was really strict, I
Yes,
can
yes,
tell.
very strict, yes.
And when you become an air traffic controller, can you, like, during your work, is it that intense in the 6 hours, or sometimes it depends on the month, for example, or how frequent it is, or it's once you get inside, you finish the inspection, you're gonna be stripped away with really lots of responsibility at a time? How was it that?
Of course, we cannot compare our airport with New York or
Yeah, that's what
with
I
Heathrow.
was.
Every minute there is a flight landing and taking off. At that time, in the 80s and 90s, we used to have a heavy traffic starting from early midnight, 10 o'clock, up to the morning, continuous. All the jumbos, and if you remember, maybe I don't know whether you have heard about Concorde. The only airport landed, it was Bahrain, Concorde. Okay, the Concorde is one of the most sophisticated and fastest aircraft, where it can fly from here to New York in 3 to 4 hours. Okay, it used to land in Bahrain.
Why?
Because Bahrain facility and the airport, as well as the qualification of air traffic controller, it was the best
In Gulf.
in the Gulf Estate, among all the Gulf States.
What about Dubai?
Still,
or
those they were not
really?
Yes, yes.
So Bahrain was in advance
Yes, yes,
of having those things.
We were even supporting flights going to Mecca and Medina when there was heavy traffic from Bahrain. We were guiding and directing them.
Oh.
Yes, and even for some Gulf state as well. At that time, there was no. They have not reached up to this stage.
Wow. And you were part of that thing, because
Yes,
back in that era.
That was the highest season of heavy traffics in Bahrain. All the jumbos, you name it, all the heavy traffic, they were coming to Bahrain, because Bahrain, it was the one of the most powerful services providing, as well as in all side that you can say. That's why they were comfortable with the security. It was excellent, as well as the services. It was excellent. So Bahrain was preferable at that time.
Wow. And actually, it's a fun fact. I have no idea about that, actually. I wasn't born yet, by the way.
You were young.
Yeah, but
that's one.
I can't tell how. And does that reflect on you when you are into the peak or the centric of this achievement?
Yes, because as I told you, you feel excited. You feel the excitement of this kind of job. You feel that you are a high rank, and you feel that you are really responsible, and that's what made us to be matured ahead of our age and ahead of our time.
Yeah, I can tell
Yes.
that. Yeah,
So that is basically what I felt
back then.
Yeah.
And in this 6 hours, you were saying, I think I heard this information. Correct me if I'm wrong, by the way. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't pronounce it correctly. Or maybe I got it wrong. But what I do know is that you don't if you come there and you don't feel well, you have to move away directly. If you didn't sleep well, you had to sleep well. I think for a non-Muslim, they have to stop alcohol, or they shouldn't drink alcohol 2 days prior, or that something like that. I heard some rumors. Basically, I'm not sure even from where I got this information, but it pops up to my mind that this kind of a drill was there, as you shouldn't do these kind of things or something like that. Can you correct me if I'm wrong, or share with us?
As somebody responsible, regardless, because the life of the people in your hand, and you have to be very cautious. You have to be, open-minded, and not to, of course, to stay away from alcohol. And not only me, even the pilot, they are not allowed. Even the meals that the pilot is eating, the co-pilot should not even eat the same meal. Why? In case of one of them went sick, the other one, he can take the positions.
Right.
An air traffic controller also, he has to be very cautious, and he has to be very alert, and ready to cooperate and coordinate all information with pilots from anywhere in the world. Maybe a pilot sitting in the aircraft in London Heathrow, he will call Bahrain tower asking for information, and you have to pass.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And how is that, like by calling by phone, like
No,
normal
not
phone?
like, there is, as I told you, we have a special means of communication called ultra high frequency. It's very short frequency, used only between the pilots and the air traffic control.
Is it used also by army back then?
No, they have different frequency. Yes,
Okay.
they have. But,
similar maybe.
Yes, but this is separate.
Okay,
it's
and
not
you
mixed.
can use that technology back then in 80s to communicate from Bahrain airport to London.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there was an advanced technology.
Of
Wow.
course.
I never know about this. That
Yes.
maybe due to my low awareness in that topic itself.
It's available.
Wow. And when you if I can recall, you said you studied for 4 years in order to get license of air traffic control. So basically, you were 22. How old are you when you left this job?
Of course, specifically now, leave that one. Let us go to the second part of it after this. Of course, I worked for
approximately just
7 years.
7 years.
7 years in Bahrain International Airport.
Okay, and
due to some political problems, I left the job and went to Saudi Arabia.
But before you say your story about Saudi Arabia, let me ask you something. In this 7 years, what was the most difficult thing you overcome? If I ask you this, like, for sure, in this 7 years, it has to be something was really challenging and you had to make a decision. Perhaps you could share with me one of these incidents that really you felt it, that you overcome that, or you maybe saved people's life. I don't know what was there. Did you do something creative in one way or another?
Of course, once you go into this job, the most important things that you will overcome it is your fear,
right,
and your failure in life. So you will become a decision maker. You will not be afraid anymore. And you will be able to do whatever plan or an idea that you have in mind. And you will become mature enough to take the risk and to do anything anywhere. That is the good thing. Why? Because it is in your hand right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was what can you tell me one incident that it's really reflecting on your behavior, onto how to make it, like, there was some difficult situation, I assume, for sure, like, for example, 2 airplanes coming at the same time, or some, perhaps you can share with us or with them, is that?
No, I remember one of the incident That was an airplane, which was an aircraft which was coming from the western side, from the side of Qatar towards Bahrain.
Okay.
And it was a cloudy, foggy day.
In
And,
Bahrain.
and this Asian, yes, he was coming, from Qatar actually. And he descended to flight level, which was 2,500. And, because we have a minimum circuit altitude, they call it altitude. And this Asian pilot, normally they don't pronounce the wording properly. And they misspell it, or they give us cut off words.
Right.
And you have to be very cautious, and you have to make sure by repeating it 3 times and to be acknowledged. Why? Because this is being recorded.
Ah, so it's been recorded in the black box, you mean?
That's
so
right.
so you
That's
have in that case, if you don't understand, you have to say it once, twice, 3 times.
3 times, yeah,
Oh.
to make sure that he understands, and he will say Roger.
Okay.
Roger, that means he understood it and copied.
Can you give us that scenario? What happened exactly? How can you, if I will bring you back to that exact incident, if it was yesterday, and imagine you came here after the walk and you told me this happened.
For example, the pilot, without naming the
Yeah,
aircraft.
sure. We don't need names.
Bahrain, this is flight number 908, approaching runway 30, requesting further descent. So I was really shocked and surprised, because it was a foggy and a cloudy day. I could not see that flight. Even with the binocular, I look right and left, I was not able to see. Then I asked the radar control to locate his location. We have seen that he is coming descending to altitude 1,500 feet only. Imagine a jumbo 747 with more than 410 passengers on board, descending to 1,500 feet. If there was any building taller than that, he would. And imagine where. He saw actually the causeway of Sitra. The causeway of Sitra, there are anti-fog lights installed in both sides. And once somebody look from upside, he see it as a runway.
Oh.
And he said that he is on the final approach, runway 30, but actually is not. He wanted to come down to land on the causeway of Sitra. So immediately requested the pilot, after we came to know from radar that he is in this
Near to
direction,
Sitra.
yes, to overtake and maintain level 2500, and will be guided to the airport and landed. Of course, after he landed, there was a report on the pilot, so the company will take action on him. So the company will take action on the pilot. He was about, even though they are very intelligent, even though they are very clever, but unfortunately, he could have led into collision hazard and killed 410 passengers on board.
Wow, you still remember the number of
Yes,
passengers?
yes. I was able to save that incident. And of course, that was a big achievement.
It is.
I've done.
And
Yeah.
have you get reward for that?
Of course, a letter of thanks, and
Wow.
from the company, as well as entertainment from the airline themselves.
Okay, and how does, if you go back to that incident, is it that a missing or unclear communication is the main reason why it was?
Not the assessment of the pilot, because when the pilot is using, there are 2 different way of landing: visual landing and instrument landing. But when he see the runway, because since it was a foggy,
Okay.
and the when Cavo K, that is, if you can see up to 10 nautical miles, they say that visibility is okay. But when it is foggy, you will not be able to see except other than the anti-fog lights. And the Cetra Causeway, unfortunately, the lighting on both sides being installed as anti-fog light, and the pilot will see it as a runway.
Oh, okay. And that's why when
That's
it's
why
become
in his assessment that he reached the airport and this is the runway.
okay, and he
And
was
he was
about.
about to land.
Why would he? Is it that the process of if I can recall, I've seen it in the movies. Basically, I didn't
Yeah.
see it in reality. But what I can say is that when you approach near the runway, you have to get in order to get inside that. Otherwise, they will tell you to go around to reduce your speed and come back. So he took that decision and he wanted to land directly without that permission to access the.
He
I
assessed
don't
the
know what you call it.
situation that he is already on the final approach of the runway, and he made his decision to land.
Okay.
Okay, that's what he said that I have the runway in visual. I was really shocked and surprised. How can
Where
he
is
has
he?
and we cannot see him? He can see the runway and we cannot see even his lights.
True.
And we have something called a binocular where we can see farther away, even if it's foggy. We can see through that. When I looked, I couldn't see. I contacted the radar control. Then we found that he is something around 15 miles away, attempting to land on the causeway instead of the airport.
Oh my God,
That
that
was
would
the-
be a catastrophic. It's gonna be a disaster,
It's a
chaos.
crisis.
And you were the saver of the day.
Yeah.
Very, really inspired onto how you really. And is it was difficult to tell him, since you mentioned that he's an Asian, but we don't want to name what country it was, but just for me to understand, is it was difficult to tell him that you are on the wrong side and
No,
it
you
was-
cannot. You cannot. There's no time in these cases to argue. You have just to pass instruction, climb and maintain flight level 2500. Repeat, 2500. Maintain flight level 2500. Follow instruction. Okay, so then you will be guiding.
And
him.
then he has to
follow the instruction
follow the instruction without even saying what.
without objecting. As I told you, the air traffic controller, he is the one who's guiding and directing
I
the
have
flights.
no idea about that. I thought he is the one who
No,
having.
no. He cannot. He cannot.
Oh my God! So you really saved that day.
Yes.
How do you feel as a person?
Of course, you feel that you have achieved something joyful, saved life, and achieved something great in your life. Wow. That's the excitement about it. When you achieve something, whether it is small or big, you feel that you have done something great.
Fulfillment and satisfaction of your achievement.
Yes.
That's actually really inspiring story.
Yes.
And is it that one incident that you can recall, or there was a multiple of it just that one?
There are, but we can go to the other things, talk about it. Of course, there are plenty. Things.
Okay, that was the most interesting one.
Most interesting one.
You mentioned you moved to Saudi after that.
Yeah.
So what did you do in Saudi?
I went to Saudi Arabia seeking the same job as air traffic controller or a pilot, but unfortunately they said that the position of air traffic controller and the pilot is specifically given for Saudis
nationals,
and but you can work as an aerodrome controller. Aerodrome controller will be controlling the traffic movement of the buses,
the
cars, buses, and other movement on the ground.
Okay.
And of course, I said, okay, I will think of it. And then I was employed by a computer company. And they wanted me actually. And they didn't release me. They said no.
They offer you better package.
Better package, better everything. So I started working with them in the field of customer support, and then I was promoted to sales, then senior sales, then marketing manager, sales managers, and then I was general manager for the company.
Wow.
And I was responsible for distribution of educational aids of Texas Instrument in Saudi Arabia, with many clients all around Saudi Arabia. So that was a big company. That was a big company in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
And thereafter, I started, of course, my own business.
When you were there already.
I was there, established my own business, and in one of the buildings, I took office, and I started importing microcomputers called Commodore.
And that was your business, not
My own business.
Okay.
Yes. After collecting lump sum of money, I am the first one who introduced Commodore computers in Saudi Arabia. It is microcomputers.
Okay.
At that time, there was no computers in Bahrain still, and there is no even microcomputer in Bahrain still.
Okay.
And that was it. And you want me to proceed further? Okay. So
Yeah,
this,
take your-
yes.
We are here
So
to...
I had my business was expanded.
Okay, since there was nobody in the market having that micro
I had
computer.
something around 180 outlets outside on sales and return basis. And, the knowledge and experience of air traffic controller as air traffic controller assisted and helped me to, expand my vision, to forecast and make assessments and learn the business on the logic way, on a better way. So I started my own business and my own outlets and expanded the business, and I started importing from London the Commodore microcomputers and distributing it over there. And it was as a microcomputer as well as a game. So it was doing both functions.
Okay.
So, and I was there for 12 years and gathered a lump sum of money.
Sure.
Well, this is one of the crises which has happened to me in '89 when Iraq invaded both Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. I'm sure that you were young at that time, but those people who are, at my age, they can remember. And the eastern province, Al Khobar, turned into a war zone. Everyone escaped from there. Lots of Saudis, they went to Riyadh and Jeddah. Many of them, they went to US and Europe. And I, of course, we were afraid of the missiles. It was shot from Iraq to one of the army buildings and killed around 36 American army at the year of '89. It is already available in the internet. You can look at it. So everybody was afraid. And I came to Bahrain as a temporary basis. And I had a big store with stocks, because all my money was invested in the stocks, and the stocks which is in the stores and with the clients on sales and return basis. But when I came over here, the story became long, more than 6 months. I went back to check. I saw everything, my stores been broken, and everything was stolen.
Oh my God! So everything you saved from that company, I mean the first air traffic control, and then you work with that company for how long?
So the first crisis that's happened, lost of my job. The second crisis I came through was lost of my asset.
Right.
12 years asset in Saudi Arabia.
And that when you started that job, when you were what position you started?
From all the market, you name it, from customer support to
From customer support to
sales, senior sales,
general manager
to manager.
And all your wealth,
12 years.
You have, in these 12 years, you have invested in a business, microchip computer. And due to war, you lost it all.
All.
Oh my God. How does it feel after that time? When you
Imagine
got that shock?
Somebody like me would have committed suicide.
Or maybe he had a heart attack, maybe, due to the overthinking?
Yes. But that is where your self-confidence, that didn't distract me. It didn't break me. It made me to stand up. It made me to chase another goal, another new goal I put for myself, another dream, and I pursue that dream. And I keep perseverance until I achieve. Not only that, but also to empowering, elevating and motivating others to leave a profound impact on the others, that regardless whatever obstacles come throughout your life, unless otherwise, if you want to be successful, you have to overtake those. So I saw those were a windows of opportunity for me. Those crises were windows of opportunities for me, because I knew there would be another windows open, another doors open for me, better than what the crisis or whatever consequences or whatever chaos that I was there.
Oh my God.
So I came to Bahrain, back again, with whatever in my hand, small amount, and again I applied here and there. Most of the company, they told me that you are overqualified. The job that we have is not suiting you. Imagine that one of the courier company, courier company, that company that's delivering parcels, etc. I approached them, and they had a position for a salesman. So once I sat with the manager, he saw all the qualification. He told me that, I apologize, you are overqualified. I told him I will accept
junior role,
junior company, but I want you to evaluate me after 3 months. I agree with the salary, this low salary that you will give, but once I prove to you, for example, he was making around 30 to 50 packages per day. I told him, in 3 months' time, I'm ready to increase these 30 packages to 120 packages. Between 90 to 150 and 20 packages. He said, he was shocked. He said, are you sure? I told him, if I didn't make it, I will give my resignation.
In this 3 months. So it's a huge challenge that you anticipated, even though that you don't know whether you were capable of doing so or not, but you believe in your ability.
Myself and my ability
and
my confidence that I can do it.
And you done it.
And you did it.
Wow.
In 3 months' time, my salary was doubled. And while I took the advantage of that time, also, I asked the manager that I hate reporting. Whether I work 1 hour or 2 hours, that is not your business. Exempt me from reporting. I will give you the result
that you are looking for.
And he was really amazed with the achievement and the way that I was given the guarantee to him. And that's why, I continued. And of course, during that time, I worked for 2 years. My goals did not stop at Saudi Arabia and air traffic controllers because I was looking for another and new opportunities. What I have to do? What is the good business right now at that time in Bahrain? It was 1990.
1990. 1 year
Yes.
before I born.
Yes. 1990, imagine. I made a survey, searching here and there. What is the good business that might take me from this stage? What is the unique that will make me different from the others? I came through something called water purification system. There was no water purification system in Bahrain at all. And I was the first one who introduced a water purification system for 18 years in Bahrain.
Wow.
Called wardi water purification system. My office, it was in Budaya. And I was giving and taking at that time. The water in Bahrain, it was salty.
Yes.
It was between 2,000 to 4,000 ppm, part per million. This is how you measure the water. If you want to know about the water, how you to measure, the sweetness of water. So what I did?
What
I
did you do?
I went to the market and I brought all the different type of bottles water available, from the small one into the large one, and I kept them in one queue. I asked myself, this one is 100 fills for 1 liter. The other one, 1.5 liters, 200 fills. Third one, 300 fills. Fourth one, the same, 400 fills. And that at that time also, there was Aqua Cool. Around 10 liters or 15 liters for 1 dinar.
True.
And there was sweet water, as you can see, 30 liters for 100 fills. I was really confused. I asked myself, this is cold water, this is water, this is water, this is water. What is the difference between them? Why this is 100 Aqua Cool, or at that time also there was one bottle which is the most expensive, the same level, the same
size,
liters, size, called Volvic Avian, which is available until now.
Right, it's still expensive.
Cost 500 fills at that time.
Wow.
Imagine a liter of kerosene, petrol, costing you 100 fills.
And
a liter of
water.
Volvic costing you 3 times the water.
Wow.
So why
it has
this
to be
is,
a secret behind it.
Yes. The secret lies behind something, as you can see the label.
Yes.
TDS, Total Dissolve Solids.
Okay.
TDS, abbreviation for Total Dissolve Solids. That's why they keep it very small in order that nobody will pay attention.
Right.
But whenever you buy a bottle, you look.
It's written now 110 ml. I don't know what that means.
The best water.
Yes, you can tell me that now.
Okay. The best water, when the ppm, part per million, is between 1 to 50. That is, they call it top of all. That's why you see there are bottles right now, small bottle, they sell it in fancy places for 10 and up to 100 dinar. Water, yes, a bottle of water. There was an advert just a few days back in one of the Facebook, I think, costing 100 and serving one of the clients 150 dinar that bottle of water. Yes.
And is it worth it, really?
You know, people, they fancy. You know,
Crazy stuff like that.
Yes, it is
150
50
BD,
BD available.
for us, for a bottle water.
Yes, yes.
My God.
Exactly like the gold. If they give you a gold of 18 karat, 21 karat, 24 karat, can you distinguish among it?
Not really.
Myself also. But if you give this to a lady, ask her, she will know this is low quality, medium quality, the highest is 24 karat, which is, she will know this is the
She will know.
Yes. The water also, how you measure it, by something called the meter.
Right.
A meter that will show the total dissolved solids, the total dissolved elements into the water.
Right.
This total dissolved solids elements will give the value of this water.
Okay.
Will give the quality of this water. How good this
distinguish
water is
between-
or not.
Okay. Got it.
So there is a meter that you measure. It will tell you total dissolved solid, for example, 90. Volvic is mentioning 90. But this total dissolved solids doesn't depend on the label. It depends on the RO, which is
stand for?
purifying, reverse osmosis.
Okay. I never heard that before. That word.
I have given a lot of presentation, a lot of seminars, and I have selected around 50 to 52 doctors in Bahrain.
Back then, when you start your
Yes.
business. Okay.
I needed them to be on my list. And the reason why, my planning, if this doctor will be convinced with my idea, with this system, others automatically will be convinced.
So that was
So they were
the philosophy of
Yes,
your business,
yes.
based on the convincing of those 52 doctors here in Bahrain in order to showcase the product that none of Bahrain entrepreneurs at all have used, or they brought it here to Bahrain.
well, those ideas all made by me.
Obviously.
And I have given a lot of seminar,
Of
and
course.
you name all the consultant which is in Bahrain, they were
A
my
lot
client.
of. Okay.
They were my client.
Mm.
And things were going very smooth, very good. And at that time also, it was not impossible any new businesses to come up.
Right.
But because, as I told you, my idea, it was unique.
Mhm.
It was something that is related to the people, something
And
that
something
was
they
needed
need.
by every
Yes.
household.
Of course.
And of course, there were a lot of funny things happen that we might go through it. But I wanted to tell you, until 2009.
So
Again,
from
after
1990s to
around 18 years.
2009.
Yes.
Okay.
Around 18 years, another crisis happened to me. And that was called financial crisis in Bahrain.
You got struck by that as well.
Yes.
How?
And I lost again the whole asset that I made throughout, the 18 years of my life.
Really? So whatever you built within a long time and progress a lot, it's fall down the first time, and it's fall down the second time, not fall at the third time?
Third time. Yes.
I mean to say, thank you for being here, first of all. How did you survive this? And what happened, first of all? Just let me first capture this moment. How did you survive into this, first of all? That hit. Not once. Not twice. 3 times. Trouble times. You miss... What kind of spiritual energy you've got in your... What was in your mental health in order to maintain that mental health? Do you do meditation? What did you do really? From where you bring all that strength to be here today?
When you have come to that positions, You have to understand there is nothing called impossible as long as you are possible in this world. You made the money, you made the business, you can do it and redo it as long as you never give up and stand on your feet and restart again. But the time that this will cause you obsession, the time that this will distract you and destroy you, that time nothing can be done.
Very true.
So if you let this to think it over, as I told you again, to look it in the way of windows of opportunity came again to you, maybe for a better.
True.
And that's why I made my speech, never ever put your eggs in one basket. Financial crisis. It's available on YouTube. You can watch it. So, and that year, I joined the Toastmasters, 2008. And 2009, it was the crisis, and I attended the contest writing this speech before the crisis because I knew the crisis is coming.
So you anticipated that the crisis is coming,
and everybody was affected with this crisis. Many people, they exactly like right now, the crisis that we are in.
Right.
The same happened in 2009.
Yeah.
Everyone, whoever was investing in these boxes of investment in the banks, buildings, household, gold, whoever invested, they were affected, and they were affected with this speech that it was coming out of my insight.
Right.
That time. So that's why the speech, it was very successful because everyone was affected with the financial crisis in different way, but they were affected, and many people in Bahrain were involved in these investment of boxes in the bank, and I am one of those who were affected, and I had no choice other than slow down and again give up the business and stop the whole operation and wait for 2 years to restart again myself.
I can't tell how difficult it was.
Yes.
It was really difficult time. I can tell.
It was.
And thanks for being here, and thank for having that courage. What made you really have the ability to continue? What was in your mind that give you that strength to move on?
That is the journey of life. As I told you, the journey of life. Myself may be tougher, harder than yours. But once you see my journey, you might learn something out of it. You might gain some idea out of it. By never giving up and overtaking all your obstacles and continue your life journey. Because this life journey, your life is very short. There is no time to waste it. If you stop, the wave will overtake you. The train will cross you. So take the first train. Don't wait. Jump and take the opportunity. Opportunity comes and goes. If you don't take it, you will be backdated. You will stay in the back. So that's why you have to move with the wave. You don't wait anybody to push you, to give you any help or assistance, but do whatever plan or an idea that you think it is good for you. Never let anybody to make a decision on your behalf. You listen to the others and take your own decision. Because once you have taken your own decision, you will be responsible for your action.
Very true.
And that's what I did in my life. I have never been failed. Now, instead of one business, I have 3 companies now.
MashaAllah.
Again, started from scratch. I have now a security company. It's available on the website called Al-Wardi Security. I have a contracting company using latest technology for cleaning, especially for the antivirus and other things against anti-pest as well as.
Okay.
Yes.
What is that?
Al-Wardi Contracting.
Al-Wardi Contracting.
Yes.
Okay.
And I do have a garage in Salmabad called, again, Al-Wardi Garage. I'm happy and satisfied. I don't have fear and failure. Regardless the consequences, regardless whatever I have gone through. Those crises, those chaos which I have gone through, they have taught me a lot of lessons in my life. They supported me. They pushed me forward, but they didn't break me.
Right.
They didn't distract me. And I'm very happy and glad that I enjoyed my life and enjoyed my journey. Are you willing to enjoy your journey as well?
Well, what an inspiration story. I'm speechless, to be honest. Although that I had meeting you several times, but I never got this story with these details. It's really an inspiring story to those who seeking lights out of the dark tunnel. I can tell how difficult it was and really how strength you were in overcome these 3 obstacles, as you were said at the beginning of this podcast, which I have no idea before. I did not expect those kind of things to happen to you, but anything that happened to you, you overcome that and you go to the next challenge, even though you failed massively, especially when you had the second business worth of 12 years. Well, you would grow from small customer representative to become the general manager of a company.
Yeah.
And then you invest all this 12 years of saving into a business and failed on again. And also the third time, which I thought you were gonna say to me you would had a heart attack or something, but you stood up and instead of crying at home, you started a Toastmaster journey, which accomplished you now to become a DTM of 13 years of experience of actually 2 DTMs. And obviously, for the people who doesn't know what DTM stand for, DTM stand for Distinguished Toastmasters, and that elite name or elite, title is only awarded when you cross a multiple project with multiple tasks in each one of them. And as a Distinguished Toastmaster, you would really recognize worldwide for having that title within you. And believe it or not, I myself, honestly speaking, if you want to refer what's the benefit of Toastmaster, I would highly recommend you to watch my episode 2 and episode 3, where I and DTM Abdul Nabil Wardi, we talked into details of Toastmasters in these 2 episodes. But today it was the day we reveal the Distinguished Toastmaster story, which I personally attached to it, and I got really inspired for it. And hopefully the people out there listening to our story would be also enlightened like the way you enlightened me. Ladies and gentlemen, Abdul Nabil Wardi, thank you for making time again. Thank you for visiting me in my humble podcast. Thank you for sharing with me this valuable story. We hope that you enjoy the story. If you don't subscribe to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel and rate this story for us. Please threshold the thumbs up, and if you don't like this story, please threshold the thumbs down, because I'm definitely sure that this video will reach even more of numbers of likes And really, thank you again and again for sharing this information. Ladies and gentlemen.
Can I say last word?
Sure. Would you like to
Yeah,
say
I
anything
just
before
wanted
for
to
the...
tell my audience or your audience, what you have to do, that it's only to believe in yourself, number one. Believe in the Lord Almighty. Believe in yourself. And follow the God's word. Never commit a sin. And plant the seed of love. Whatever you love for yourself, plant it for the others. Why? Because you will impact the others with your attitudes and personality. And they will carry your candle thereafter. This how your words and your attitudes and personality will be alive for lifetime. So unless otherwise you love yourself and the others, then you will be successful in your life. And of course, the most important things is thanking the Lord Almighty for whatever you have been gifted. Physically, you have to be really,
Gratitude
thankful
and thank you.
Yes, grateful to Him.
What a wisdom words. What a wisdom and what a great way to end this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Abdul Nabil Wardi, Muna'ma, and this is Master Mo Podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode and goodbye for now.
Thanks.